Yo, listen up! I am Brian Lee Durfee, author of The Forgetting Moon and The Blackest Heart and The Lonesome Crown, all published by Simon & Schuster's Saga Press. Today, we are going to be reviewing Rose Madder by Stephen King. If you've been following my channel, you know I've been reviewing all the Stephen King novels in publication order. Man, we're about halfway through these bad boys. We're in a Rose Madder right now, published in 1995. I even wore my Guns N' Roses shirt in honor of Rose Madder. You know, we always review the covers. I love graphic design. I love illustration, so we review the covers of the novels. I've got two here. I've got my hardcover that I bought. My little mass market paperback. Let's talk about these covers. Which one do we like better? Well, I'll be honest with you. I think this one's way better, and I mean, this one just stands out. It's striking. This one is just sort of a cobbled mess. This is like one of those, mid 1990s Photoshop experiments that your kids might do on the old computer that you got them. This one seems a little bit, probably about the same thing, but just seems to be put together a little bit better. This one seems like a mess. This one I like better. That's why I collect both the hardcovers, the first edition hardcovers, and the mass market paperbacks of Stephen King. And you also, if you've been following my channel, you also know that I am reading along to the Audible.com version. For these rereads, I am reading along to the Audible.com version of these novels. And I gotta tell you, this Audible.com version, you know what? I don't blame the narrator. A woman named Blair Brown narrated Rose Madder on Audible.com. Did a great job. I get frustrated when the producers of these audiobooks decide to layer over the top of the narration a lot of weird special effects. Just the creepy noises, the chains rattling along the ground, just the you know, the Stephen King, just horror music, just it's not needed. It drowns out the story. I can't hear a god thing that the narrator is saying. And this, so far, is the worst offender. I mean, most 90% of the Stephen King books that I've listened to don't do that bullshit. Some of them do, and this one did it. God, did they? I don't think I stopped listening. I actually stopped listening, and just 100 pages in, I said, "Ew, ew." It, and I was done. I couldn't hear the story over all of the chains rattling in the backgrounds and the weird screeching owls and all the other crap that they put in. Oh, lordy, lordy, lordy. People, don't do that. Nobody likes it. This is a bad idea. So the Audible.com narration gets a DNF. So I ended up reading it just as a normal person reads it, you know, with the book open and looking at the pages and reading through the words. And I like the book, you know, what's it about? What is Rose Madder? What is Rose Madder, you know? Well, first of all, it's a Stephen King himself. I liked this book. Stephen King himself considers it one of his least favorite. He said, this is the book where I was trying too hard. I was trying too hard to talk about domestic violence and interweave a lot of Greek mythology into it. And I just tried too hard, and it didn't work out for me. I thought it was good. I thought it was a great case study on domestic violence, not only through the perspective of the abused, but also the abuser. And it makes no apologies for what it is. I think that Rose Madder itself. What is Rose Madder? Well, first of all, it's sort of an allegorical. This is a very allegorical book, and I think that's where Stephen King is just a little too hard on himself. I like the allegory in this book. Rose Madder is actually the name of a pigment, of paint, a paint pigment that is initially taken from the Madder Lake, which is a pigment extracted from, it's called Madder Lake, and it's red paint from Madder Lake extracted from the madder plant. Or so I found out on Wikipedia, so if I'm wrong about any of that, you blame Wikipedia, not me. It's a very transparent red paint. And I think that's very allegorical for what's going on in this book, transparent red paint. Now, Rose Madder herself is a supernatural being, but Rose Daniels is the main character in the book, and Rose Daniels is married to a police officer who's very abusive. And, you know, he abuses her to the point where she miscarries, and he abuses her to the point where and for years, and this goes on for tens of years, this goes on for 10 years of her marriage, where she just takes this abuse, and he is a police officer, and that's one of the reasons why she is afraid to leave him, because she's like, he's an investigative police officer, and he'll find me. I don't care where I go in this world, this guy will stalk me and hunt me down, and he will find me. So it takes her a long time to leave the relationship. And one of the things I appreciate about what Stephen King does with Rose Daniels is she's not a victim. She does not blame the outside world for her own choices in life. She married this guy knowing he was a bad guy, knowing that she was attracted to bad guys, and she's not that surprised that this kind of thing's happening to her. And you know, she takes responsibility for that part of her life, and which gives her the strength to take responsibility for the part of her life where she leaves him, because she knows, this is my mistake. Yeah, he's a bad guy. Nobody deserves to get beat and hit and everything, but this is my mistake. I chose the wrong dude, and I got to own up to my choice. And so I'm out of here. I'm gonna leave. So she leaves, but she knows that this guy, her husband Norman, whose name is Norman, he's this police investigator. He gets away with a lot of crap. He's just a bad cop and a bad guy all around. I mean, he's even being investigated for raping someone on the job. Internal Affairs is investigating him, but his cop buddies are sort of protecting him. So he's just a bad guy, and he's got protection. And she's just deathly afraid of him. Well, anyway, she moves away from him. She finds a new life in another place, finds love, another guy that's much better, treats her well. She chooses wisely this time instead of poorly, and she chooses a man that will treat her well. And then she's in a pawn shop one day, and she sees this painting that she really likes, so she buys the painting. Well, as she has the painting in her house, she notices the scene in the painting starts to change a little bit. And kind of reminiscent, I think, of that Stephen King short story Typewriter in the Sky, where I might be thinking of something else where the story changed. Anyway, whatever. The scene is changing. Every time she looks at it, the scene's changing. And eventually, the painting sort of pulls her into it. So now she's inside the landscape of the painting. And I know there was a Robin Williams movie that is exactly like this, where he gets pulled into the painting. What is that called? Should have researched that, because it just dawned on me that I've seen that movie. And it's got Robin Williams, and they get pulled into I think it's Robin Williams. They get pulled into the painting. They live in the painting. It's similar to what happens to Rose here, Rose Daniels. And she meets this character in the painting called Rose Madder, which I'm pretty sure is because of the Rose Madder plant, whatever, transparent red, anything, but, you know, supernatural things start to happen. Her husband Norman eventually catches up to her. Bad things go on, and that's all the plot I'm going to give you, because we don't do spoilers here. I think it's a good book. I thought it was a good book. I think Stephen King's too hard on himself for calling this and Tommyknockers like two of his least favorite books. I liked me some Rose Madder, just like I like me some Guns and Roses. Rose Madder. What do we want to give this? Let's give it about a 7.5 out of 10. I think it's got a lot to say about domestic violence, domestic abuse, relationships, how to avoid getting involved with the wrong people, how to make wise choices, and who you choose to date and spend your time with. I like the book a lot. I am giving it a 7.5 out of 10. Did I already say that? I can't remember. So far, the video's gone very well. As you know, I usually have a lot, in my Stephen King review videos, I usually have a lot of burning candles. I've usually set up a shrine in here. and to Stephen King with a lot of burning candles and everything's dark and everything's kind of creepy and stuff's flying around like supernatural, like weird stuff's happening. The video's actually gone quite pleasantly. Nothing weird has happened in this video that I know of yet. I will watch it later to see if something crazy happens. But just so you know, 7.5 out of 10, Rose Matter, about halfway through the Stephen King books. Yay! Every book that I write is dedicated to Stephen King, Motley Crue, and the Oakland Raiders. Las Vegas Raiders this year. All last year I was saying Oakland Raiders. Now it's the Las Vegas Raiders. Stephen King, Motley Crue, the Raiders. Those are the three most important things to me when I was a kid, so they get a shout out in every book that I write. Rose Matter, 7 out of 10, everybody.